Cam, this is now, it's been a few years now, you've done a few of these Hudson River Derbies.
Mhm.
How much bigger does this one feel going into Saturday?
Yeah, I think, we also got beat to them earlier in the season. And I think the point where we are in the season for both teams, we're both fighting for a playoff spot, but especially like a top four spot. That's what, both teams are looking for. And so I think, with also the previous game where we got beat, I think we all know it's a must win. And it's a game that, we're not on the best of tracks right now. The last few games have not probably played as well as we can. So this is to, get us back on track going into playoffs, and, we'll have some guys back from injury. So I think everyone's just been excited. You can see it in training. We've all had good energy this week.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe you scored in Citi Field earlier this year against them. That really kind of kick-started your year. How important was that game in that moment to what your 2024 has been?
Yeah, I think like I've spoke about earlier in the season, I had a little bit of difficulty coming back from my injury in the off season, and I think that week, especially that week in May, where we had 3 games and I got 3 goals. I think that kick-started my momentum and kind of solidified my place in the team and kind of getting minutes for the season. And so yeah, I used that week just to build on. I had to come off early in that game due to injury, but in terms of how the seasons went for me personally, I think since that week, I think I've had a very good season. I would like to have contributed maybe some more goals and assists, but I think personally that game was big for not only my confidence, but the coach's confidence in my ability. And yeah, I've actually been looking forward to this game for quite a while now. So hopefully, and it will go to plan.
Next, we'll go to Christian on Zoom.
Hi, good afternoon, Cam.
Hi, Christian.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you a couple of 2 questions actually. The first one is this season, for the majority of the games that you have played in, you have demonstrated an ability to dictate your attack. Just wanted to talk about what has Coach Sandro done for you. You mentioned about confidence, some of the things that he has helped you grow this season. And my second question, you play well in both wings, but which one is the one that you feel most comfortable in?
Yeah, going to the first part, I appreciate that. I appreciate the words. Yeah, I think I've really found my groove this season. I think my last few years here in Red Bull, I feel like I've done well, but I've kind of been tinkered with a little bit and being able to play multiple positions. And but growing up, and my skill set's always been suited towards being a wide 10 or an inside 10. That's always what I believe my best skill set's been ever since I've been young. And so I think I've kind of refound that ability. And I think, towards like the earlier question, that week especially where I was playing 10 and I was able to get a few goals and kind of I think that was the first time I got my belief back that I can really be a player in this league that can play that position and play it very well. I pride myself on being able to create chances and be a player who's not only can get goals and assists, but people like to enjoy to watch. I do like to be creative. I like to try things. I also pride myself in doing the simple things well, but being able to set myself apart are the things I can do on the dribble and the things I can do to create chances and go one-on-one. I think that's what sets me apart from other people. And coach especially has not tried to take that part of my game away. He's actually kind of contributed quite a bit to my success because he's been the one who's pushed me to go at guys 1v1 and be creative and be myself whilst also being able to do the simple things. So, I put, a lot of it down to the coach's confidence in me and his, ability to push me, but I also put a bit of it to, I also, think that I've done well for myself in terms of not, allowing, a few years where I was kind of in multiple positions to affect my mindset towards being a 10 in the first place, because that's my position that I feel I'm the best at.
And the second one was about which side do you prefer to play?
Oh, which side I prefer? I personally prefer to play on the right side. That's kind of what I probably spent most of my younger days playing in, but I feel like I'm quite good at both.
Next, we go to Dan on Zoom.
Hey Cam, thanks for coming in today. Just to talk about this, big rivalry coming up with NYCFC. They're going to be missing two players due to yellow card accumulation. Do you feel that's an advantage for you guys, and how do you think you're going to try to take advantage of that negative against them?
Uh, yeah, obviously they're the guy that they're missing Rodriguez, he's a great player, and their other center back. We've taken note of it, but I don't think it really changes the game at all. I think going into these games, you can replace players, and everyone's going to give that energy. It's always going to be a really tough game. I think playing them earlier in the season, I was impressed with how they played. I thought they were a good team, and so I don't think it really changes anything. I think it's always a good game, especially when you play in that Red Bull Arena. I think everyone goes in the game and know what it's going to be. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle, and sometimes it takes a moment of brilliance to win the game, or I think everyone's got to be ready because they might be missing players, but I'm sure the guy who steps in for him is going to know exactly what he has to do. And so yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult game for both teams.
Everyone, we have time for two more questions. Cam, first go to Voss, and then we'll finish up with Michael. Voss, you have the floor.
Thank you for the time, Cam. Best of luck this Saturday.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask you real quick on what makes this derby such a big game, not having been part of a few of them, being with the team for a few years now, and not trying to compare to the old firm, which you've been part of many of a rivalry overseas, but what makes it so special? And just as a second part, have you been doing anything in training to try to maintain the form that you've been in and try to not really get injured? Because we spoke earlier in the year that you had the foot injury. Has there been anything in training that you've been trying to maybe limit yourself to just be ready for game day?
Yeah. So going on to the first question, I think you can, for people who are around the facility, there's definitely a certain energy the week leading up to a game against New York City. And I think you also see the way that both teams celebrate when they win. The seeing New York City celebrate in their home stadium this year when they won, like it was massive for them. You could tell it was big for them. When we won a few years ago at Yankee Stadium, our away fans who were traveling for that, they were up in the stands having a ball. We were having a ball. So I think it's built in that there's going to be a rivalry. Same city team. But through the course of my few years here, I've kind of understood the rivalry a bit more as I've played more games, and I remember the feeling in 2022 when they came to our stadium and they beat us, and that's not a feeling that I want to feel again. Leaving that field and knowing that your crosstown rivals came to your stadium and beat you, I think that's a feeling that it was terrible. Leaving the field that day and in the locker room, the feeling of beating them and coming back in the locker room after and everyone celebrating. It's a feeling that's kind of unparalleled to other games, I feel, for us. And your second question was, how have I tried to kind of not try and get injured? I think earlier in the season, with the foot injury, I missed preseason, and then I'm kind of being a little bit of a sub for a few of the games, and then I come into the groove that week where I play New York City, like the DC game, and I think I went from playing not as much to playing quite a lot of minutes that week, and I ended up getting injured, so that was unfortunate. But then coming back, I think I've kind of learned, I've always known it's a 24/7 job. It's very demanding. You have to go home and take care of yourself, eat good food. But I think also trying to be in the gym and in foam roll stretch a little bit more, just take care of myself. But I think once you're in the groove of things and your body's feeling good, you kind of know how you can push it. The Cincy game where I got injured, I felt a little something going into the game, and so I probably should have been smarter with that one in terms of, probably not playing as much. But no, it's just knowing your body, knowing where your limits are.
And we'll finish up with Michael. Michael, you have the floor.
Cam, thank you so much for giving us the time. That game at Citi Field, you scored a goal. It was a really good goal, and your reaction kind of spoke 1,000 words. You've talked about this rivalry, but can you speak specifically on what scoring in this rivalry feels like, as a player, and how you're hoping to hopefully score again against this team that's just as hungry as you guys are?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, both teams are going to want to win, so I think it's going to be a battle. And then the feeling of scoring was actually pretty funny. Usually, in most cases, I actually watched it back, and I probably wouldn't have taken the shot in most cases. I remember seeing Lewis wide open on the left after I watched the video back, and if I hadn't scored, he probably would have been screaming at me. So it probably, in most cases, I wouldn't have shot that, but the week that I was having, coming off the New England game on the Saturday and then the DC game on the Wednesday, I was in a groove where, things were going for me. And I don't usually take those shots. Those aren't usually goals that I score. I'm usually more of a guy who scores closer to goal. But scoring in that game was like, it was unparalleled. Yeah, like I said earlier, it was honestly probably the best goal I've scored and one of the best feelings I've ever had. And it was nice to score in their stadium. It went silent after, but to score in our stadium and for like the stadium to go crazy. I remember the 3-0 game where we beat them in the Open Cup a few years ago, and just like the atmosphere when we beat them and it was 3-0 was just like, unbelievable. And I remember I didn't score, but I got an assist that game, and just feeling as if like I got subbed on and I felt I contributed to a part of a goal. It was like almost the same feeling as scoring, because I was able to, for Omi's goal, get an assist. And that feeling of coming off the field after you've contributed, especially like a goal and an assist, it was amazing. And so, we know what it feels like to beat New York City at our stadium, that 3-0 game. So we need to come in with the same attitude, same mentality, and we'll get it done.
Cam, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.